Hi, this is Griffin, and it's New Year's Eve, and I recently watched a new movie called Dream Scenario. I just put it on thinking it was going to be a comedy, drama type movie, but it ended up being like a little bit of a mix of a horror movie. And since I already put out my horror movie list, I thought I'd just do a single review of just Dream Scenario by A24. One of the main reasons I wanted to watch this movie is because it has a really cool sounding plot, which follows a man named Paul Matthews, and basically he finds himself being in everybody's dreams. So all these people are dreaming about him, and he's become this national, worldwide known celebrity, basically. People are asking him for interviews, they want to use him for like marketing tactics, and it's really cool. It starts out as kind of a comedy. Nicolas Cage does really well, and as the movie progresses, it sort of transfers into a horror movie because the dreams that these people are having of him start turning into nightmares. So whenever Paul Matthews' dream fans start to experience these nightmarish versions of the dreams, including Paul Matthews, they get really scared of him. People don't like him anymore. He gets canceled since he's technically like a celebrity, since everyone knows him, but he basically gets canceled. And it's a really interesting switch, and it's kind of darkly comedic, but it's also very sad because you understand how he's feeling while like the people in the movie don't quite understand or empathize with him as the audience might. To start out this review, I'd like to talk about the director, Christopher Borgli. I think that's how you say it. I think most people probably know him for Sick of Myself, which is one of his most popular films. I haven't watched that movie. This is my first movie I've ever watched, and it has very similar tone to Beau is Afraid by A24, which was directed by Ari Aster, and Dream Scenario is also produced by Ari Aster. So you can sort of see the similarities there, and I'm sure it's sort of a mix of Beau is Afraid and Sick of Myself together with different, ideas. So one thing I think is really cool about this movie is how it's sort of genre bending, and it starts out as this drama, comedy that's just very funny and has such a cool plot, and then slowly turns into what I would say is like a full-blown horror movie. And not just the horror images, but also psychologically horror and psychologically thrilling due to if you put yourself in his mind, you can see how he might feel being in this situation, which must be so hard to navigate. I will say that the mix of genres, while I find it very fun and I love comedy horror movies, I do find it to be a bit drastic for like the tone shift. I feel like at one point you could be laughing, at one point you could be really scared. And for some people that's cool, but I like to be like a mix of both. While this movie sort of feels like a comedy movie that casually gets interrupted by a scary part and then goes back to the comedy, and not as so much as like a mixture of both. And that might just be a minor critique because overall the movie's very cohesive and it makes sense. It doesn't feel like, oh, now we're to the horror movie section, but I feel like the movie might work better and flow better if the horror was more incorporated into it and not just put as a like break section and then go back into the movie. So that's just one minor critique. I would like to take a second to admire the performances of the movie. I thought all the actors did really well. There's lots of featured celebrity actors, like Michael Cera is in this movie, and he plays like an interviewer, like trying to get him to like market his company and stuff. And then there's like some famous TikTokers that are shown at the end of the movie, which is interesting. Obviously, Nicolas Cage's performance was excellent. He did a really good job. He fits the role so perfectly because he's sort of this image of this normal dad who you wouldn't expect this to happen to, but when it does, it's so scary, I guess you would say. Another thing I'd like to praise is the wonderful cinematography. It's beautiful. Most A24 films are, but once again, it is a beautiful looking movie. Now, for my only real major critique of this movie is the huge tone shift that sort of happens towards the end of this movie. So, I really enjoy the writing of this movie. I think it's very good. And I know I talked about previously the minor tone shifts, which I don't think really affect the movie too much. It was just something I noticed. But there was one moment towards the end where all the major story comes to a cease, and we just see this sort of dystopian like world of explaining like the aftermath of the dream scenario, and I just don't really understand what it was for. It really felt like a break that slowed down the movie a lot, and it felt like it was just put in to make the movie longer, because it wasn't really necessary in my opinion. This is the portion of the movie, if you've seen it, where all the TikTokers are there. I won't spoil what it is, but I just personally didn't love it and didn't think it really helped the movie go along. I actually think it maybe brought it down, since it sort of slowed it down and gave us all this excess information that wasn't even important. The storyline wasn't even done yet, but we had this break. I didn't enjoy that section. So I rated this movie personally 4 stars out of 5 because I found it to be a very fun journey that combined 2 wonderful genres, comedy and horror, and I think it did it very well. And there's some minor pacing issues and tone shift issues that I don't quite understand, but other than that, it was a very strong film, one of the best from A24 I watched this year, and on my list of horror movies, I have it ranked at number 3, so pretty high up there. I did a lot of rearranging of my list after I made my past video, and yeah, so this movie makes it all the way up to that 3rd spot, so really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this review that I just did on Dream Scenario, maybe consider liking the video and subscribing. I have a video I just made about my ranking of all the 2023 horror movies. And yeah, that was the last one I watched. So I'm really excited for 2024, and I hope you will watch my further videos I'll make of all the movies coming out then. But until then, goodbye.